Hello everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Holland Land Office Museum's Artifact video series. My name is Ryan Duffy, and I'm the director of the museum. And this week, in honor of the Christmas season, we're going to talk about some very unique items that we have that may not be original to Genesee County, but they are original to our neighbors to the north up in Orleans County. And that is the Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus uniforms that we have here. They were actually used at the Charles Howard Santa Claus School that was located in Albion. So we're going to talk a little bit about the history of Charles Howard and his founding of his Santa Claus School and its impact on how we think of Santa Claus here in the United States. So Charles Willis Howard, or Charlie as he was better known, was born in 1896, right in around Albion, and actually got his start very early in sort of becoming Santa Claus. He was a rather large child and had the kind of look of Santa Claus and sort of embraced that look, even as a child. He was given some woodworking tools by his aunt when he was young, and he went to work making little toys and other things at home that sort of got him in the giving spirit that would make him a very good Santa Claus. The things that he would make, he would then be able to give as gifts, or people would buy as gifts, and then he would actually be given a Santa Claus sort of outfit with a Santa Claus mask that he would then use to kind of deliver gifts, even though the mask might have been a little bit off-putting to some and somewhat scared the children, so he stopped wearing that. As Charles got older, he would see other men around different towns and things portraying Santa Claus in the different stores, and he thought, well, this might be something that he could pursue further. So one day, after getting his chores done on the family farm, he traveled off to Albion to John Merrills Furniture store, where he asked if he could sort of portray Santa or do a window display in his store, and Mr. Merrill accepted right on the spot. So Charles actually dressed up as Santa and started making toys in the window of the furniture shop, which drew a lot of attention to the business and drew a lot of children's faces to the window. Now Charles would do this for about $15 a week and would actually go to the furniture store and do this after completing all his chores on the farm, and then head back to the farm, which was a few miles away. So his day was taken up not only being Santa, but also still working the farm. After some success doing this at Merrill's, Charles tried to move up into bigger fish and actually contacted McCurdy's department store in Rochester to be their Santa during the holiday season. So he reached out to their sales department and went in for an interview, and without even really having to do much, they hired him on the spot and asked him when he could start. Though the transition to a larger store was not the easiest for Charles, as he actually was somewhat shy and actually refused to come out until the other employees coaxed him out to the smiling faces of the children. And again, he did this all while still working the family farm. His wife would actually drive him to the train station in Albion. He would take the train into Rochester and get back on the train and come back, and this was what he did every day during the holiday month. But sort of the interesting part to all this is that Charles really didn't fully understand the concept of Santa Claus while doing this, as he really didn't know the story. He just enjoyed portraying Father Christmas and bringing joy to the children, but he didn't really know the impact of Santa Claus and sort of people's concept of him. So he got to studying, and this was prompted by one particular interaction that he had with a young girl who came up to him while he was in the store, and she said, "I'd like to ask you a question." And he responded, "Well, what is that question?" And she said, "Well, I have a favor, and I'd like you to do one thing for me." And he asked what that was, and she said, "Please don't ever shave." And he realized that it wasn't just the outfit, but it was the beard, it was the whole package put together that made him Santa Claus to these young children. And this sort of got his wheels turning on how he could be a better Santa Claus. So he did his research, and it actually occurred to him that maybe he could teach other men to be very good Santa Claus for children around the country and around the world. So in 1937, he actually started his famous Santa Claus School. And he started with only 2 students, but this was actually started at the interest of one of the workers at the Buffalo Courier Express, who thought this might be a very good idea and actually draw people in. And he actually, his first 2 students were from out of state, so he was drawing people from around the United States. And he brought in specialists from around the country, including Santa Claus impersonators, but also reindeer farmers and things, so how to work with the live animals if necessary, and how to really become the full epitome of Santa Claus. Now, tuition started off at about $15, but then he raised it as it would draw more prestige. First to 25, then to 40, and to 60, but students kept coming throughout the years. Now, Howard had no dedicated schoolhouse for this. He just did it out of his home at Phipps and Gaines Basin Road in Albion. And there's actually a historic marker there denoting the historical significance of the Santa Claus School. As he didn't feel the need for a schoolhouse, as Santa Claus came from the home, so he felt it was best to teach within the home in order to, I guess, gain that essence. Things changed during World War II, though, as it was harder and harder to get men to come and join up at the Santa Claus School. So he actually recruited certain women who fit the archetype and could have lower voices in order to play Santa Claus. So he adjusted to the needs and still was rather successful with it. And at this time, he started to add his own touch to the Santa Claus image, as he actually created his own outfits, which the ones behind me are actually based off of. And he added his own touches to them and made sure that the fur was real, actually made out of rabbit fur, to create a more authentic look. And he actually started these right with the start of the school in 1937, but then would sell these to any students, but also to stores themselves so that they could have their very own authentic Santa Claus suits. And these would go for $85, so they were very expensive, but they still were in very high demand. In 1944, he switched and left McCurdy's store in Rochester and went to a store in Buffalo, which was a larger store, and actually worked there for 4 years until he actually had a mental breakdown and had to step away from portraying Santa in the department stores in 1948. However, this actually led to his biggest opportunity, as from 1948 to 1965, he was actually chosen to portray Santa in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And he did this every year, so as a result, he actually became the most recognizable Santa in the entire country, and maybe the world. And for many people, either who went to the parade or eventually would see it on TV or in other media, he was Santa Claus. Now, Charles Howard would actually pass away in 1966, but his legacy would still live on for some time, as his home in Albion, which was also known as Christmas Park, which attracted 80,000 people a year, still remained open for a time, though eventually had to close without their most famous resident to lead the charge. But to this day, the Charles Howard Santa Claus School is still recognized as the school to train our Santa Claus workers. And it actually still exists, though it just has been moved out to Michigan at this time. But the legacy here is still goes without saying, and the legacy of Charles Howard is still well known in Albion and Orleans County. I hope you enjoyed this edition of our Artifact video series and learned a little bit more about Charles Howard and his Santa Claus School. It's a perfect time to come and learn more about him, as we've got his uniforms on display here during our Wonderland of Trees Christmas tree event, which goes through the end of December every year. But in case you've missed any of our videos, be sure to go and check them out on our YouTube channel, Holland Land Office Museum. And you can visit our playlist on the Artifact video series and check out all the videos. We're up to about 80 now. And if there's anything that you really enjoyed, be sure to hit the like button and even subscribe to the channel if you like, as it helps the channel out and gets us a little more exposure, but also gets you notified just that much earlier when we release new videos. But as always, the best way to come and check out everything here is stop by in person. We'll be happy to share even more stories with you.